It's 25 degrees below zero. The cold doesn't make you shiver. It hurts. The air tears through your lungs with every breath. Your fingers stop responding. The wind never stops, and the snow stretches to every horizon. There is no warm house waiting for you. No supermarket, no medicine, no rescue. If you don't solve today's problems, you won't live to see tomorrow. And yet, people did. Not for a few weeks. Not for a few years. For thousands of years. So before we begin, answer this honestly. Do you think you could survive just 1 week in the Ice Age? Because by the end of this journey, you'll discover how ancient humans survived the Ice Age and why they succeeded when so many others didn't. Open your eyes. You're standing on Earth 24,000 years ago, during the coldest stage of the last Ice Age. Nothing looks familiar. The planet is colder than today by 90 degrees, but where you are, it feels much worse. Winters are brutal, and the freezing temperatures return year after year for thousands of years. This isn't bad weather. This is the world. A quarter of all land is buried beneath enormous glaciers. Some are nearly 3 kilometers thick. The oceans have pulled back so far that you could walk from Siberia to Alaska. Britain is still connected to mainland Europe. Now, look around again. You won't see cities. You won't see roads. You probably won't even see another person. There are only 2 or 3 million humans on the entire planet. Your small group is surrounded by hundreds of kilometers of frozen wilderness. If someone gets injured, if the hunt fails, if the fire goes out, no one is coming to save you. So what keeps you alive? Most people would say strength. But the Ice Age had no interest in how strong you were. It rewarded something far more valuable: the ability to adapt. And the first lesson came from something no one would ever expect. Imagine you finally brought down a mammoth. Your family now has food for weeks. But if you think the meat is the greatest prize, think again. The bones may be even more valuable. Across the frozen plains of what is now Ukraine and southern Russia, trees were scarce. There wasn't enough wood to build proper shelters, so you used the mammoth instead. Its massive skulls became the foundation. Its long bones became the walls. Its tusks helped support the roof. Animal hides stretched across the frame kept out the freezing wind. Archaeologists have uncovered these incredible shelters, proving that Ice Age families really did build homes from mammoth bones. Even the leftovers had a purpose. When researchers examined the fireplaces inside these shelters, they expected charcoal. Instead, they found burned bones. With almost no wood available, bones became fuel. One animal gave you food, a home, and the fire that kept your children alive. Then came another breakthrough, small enough to fit in your hand: a bone needle. For the first time, you could sew animal hides into fitted clothing that trapped heat instead of simply wrapping fur around your body. That tiny tool changed everything. And here's the surprising part. Even in one of the harshest environments on Earth, people still dyed fibers and decorated their clothes. Survival wasn't enough. You still wanted beauty. Because the real difference between surviving and living has never been the same thing. But a warm shelter means nothing if you have nothing to eat. Every hunt begins with uncertainty. You follow a herd of reindeer across the snow for hours. If they escape, your family goes hungry. If they charge, someone may never return home. Life inland was a constant gamble. Near the coast, however, the story was different. Fish, shellfish, and seals provided a more dependable source of food, giving some communities a better chance of surviving the long winters. Then, another hunter entered the story. The wolf. At first, it watched from a distance, waiting for scraps near your camp. The least fearful wolves stayed. Generation after generation, trust slowly replaced fear. Without anyone planning it, two hunters became partners. One offered food. The other offered sharper senses, better tracking, and an early warning of danger. But even that wasn't humanity's greatest advantage. It was each other. Unlike the Neanderthals, your people stayed connected with distant groups. Archaeologists have found stone tools and ornaments carried hundreds of kilometers from where they were made. These weren't random objects. They were signs of friendships, of trade, of alliances. If one group lost everything, another could help them start again. Now I'm curious about your answer. What do you think was the single greatest survival tool of the Ice Age? Fire, clothing, or cooperation? Write your choice in the comments before we reveal the final piece of the puzzle. Because the greatest proof of human survival wasn't found in a weapon. It was found on the walls of a cave. You finally step inside the cave. It's completely dark. The only light comes from the torch in your hand. You walk deeper. Then suddenly, the walls come alive. Mammoths, horses, lions, rhinoceroses. Painted more than 30,000 years ago with such skill that under the flickering firelight, they almost seemed to move. These weren't people who had conquered nature. They were people still fighting to survive. Yet somehow they still found time to create something beautiful. Then you notice something smaller. A child's handprint. An adult once helped that child press a tiny hand against the rock before blowing pigment around it. Tens of thousands of years later, that single moment is still waiting for you. It's a quiet reminder that even during the coldest chapter in human history, parents still taught their children, artists still created, and hope never disappeared. Around 11,500 years ago, the Ice Age finally came to an end. The glaciers retreated. The mammoths vanished. The world changed once again. And humanity changed with it. We farmed. We built villages. Then civilizations. So perhaps the better question isn't, how did ancient humans survive the Ice Age? It's this. What part of them still survives inside you today? Before you leave, think about everything you've just survived. You crossed a frozen world where temperatures could kill you in hours. You learned to turn mammoth bones into shelter, sew warm clothing from animal hides, and build friendships that stretched far beyond your own camp. Every challenge forced you to become more creative, more cooperative, and more adaptable than ever before. Now compare that world to your own. Most of us will never face an Ice Age winter, where one failed hunt means our family won't eat, or a dying fire means we might not survive the night. But the greatest inheritance they left us wasn't a tool or a weapon. It was the ability to adapt. When the world changed, they changed with it. And every time humans face uncertainty and refuse to give up, that ancient spirit lives on.